I want you to picture this. What if therapy, fitness, nutrition, even massage therapy all work together and not separately? At Chicago Integrated Health, they believe that true wellness isn't one dimensional. In fact, they bring mental health, personal training, nutrition, and clinical massage into one unified experience that's tailor made for the patient and the client. As a clinical psychologist and a personal trainer, I wholly believe in holistic integrated care with other clinicians, and research shows that it is the best model for health that we know today. Unfortunately, there are so few models, and so today I want to introduce to you Chicago Integrated Healthcare that is doing exactly that, integrated care, and I think in a beautiful and holistic way. All right. Good afternoon. It is so good to see you all. Thank you all for being here. So my name is Dr. Phil Sarpon. This is Phil's Guide to PsyD. Today we have a really great interview planned with this practice, Chicago Integrated Healthcare. I want y'all, if you can, to just introduce yourself and just say a little bit about you. We can start with you, Iris.
Sure. So I'm the founder and CEO of Chicago Integrated Health. I am also a licensed clinical massage therapist and certified holistic nutritionist.
And I am Lauren White, Iris's mom, Vice President of Chicago Integrated Health. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. I've been in the field for a little over 17 years now, practicing and as well as teaching at universities around the state of Illinois.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mania Morris. Everyone calls me Coach MJ. I am the Director of Fitness here at Chicago Integrated Health. I am a certified and licensed holistic wellness practitioner, as well as a licensed and certified personal trainer and nutritionist, overseeing our fitness department, which offers personal training, now yoga, and nutrition coaching.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Cameran Batley. I'm the Director of Integrative Bodywork here at Chicago Integrative Health. I've been a clinical licensed massage therapist for quite a while now, going on 9 years, or next year will be 10 years. And so what we do offer at Chicago Integrative Health, of course, is different types of modalities. We have relaxation, manual lymphatic drainage. We started our sports massage and stretching services as well. So you can get all of that body work at Chicago Integrated Health.
Love that. Thank you all for the introductions. I'm super excited to have this conversation. I think one of the things that I've been getting a lot of questions about is how to really integrate healthcare, right? The body is not one dimensional. There's so much about our health, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And when I came across y'all's practice, I just felt like from the massage therapy, the fitness, the yoga, the therapy, it just seemed like collectively y'all were really doing something really special. So Iris, can you tell me a little bit about how the vision started? Like, how did this happen essentially?
Yeah, so I've been a licensed clinical massage therapist for about 12 years. Um, Over the years, working with clients who book massages for different reasons, not just because it was their birthday, but because there was chronic pain, or if they were dealing with grief and they needed just some stress relief, and of course, the different stressors in their environment. I found that I did help quite a bit, but it was temporary, or just wasn't enough. And my mother, her being a psychotherapist, I understood over the years, how talk therapy contributed to people feeling better, just overall, their overall health. I I knew that there were cousins there, because we're both, tapping into those neurotransmitters, with the fight or flight effect, with me, helping to provide some type of relief, stress relief, but also the talk therapy component. But I knew that I wanted to do more for our clients. So I pitched to her, I said, what if? Now, I did not have the scientific backing at the time. It wasn't until I went to get my certification as a holistic nutritionist that it all came together and I understood it on a cellular level, what we were doing, and then the nutrition component on a cellular level. Also, talking to those neurotransmitters, giving a dopamine effect and all of that. That I'm like, okay, these are not just cousins, these are brothers and sisters, these modalities. And so when I started to work with our clients nutritionally, I found that in our conversations, when I'm doing these motivational interviews, I found in the conversations that a lot of times they would bring things over that were out of my scope. And because we are talking about grief, we are talking about stress and work life balance and all of that. But I'm like, listen, you still have a therapist, and I want you to talk to your therapist about these things. So I saw that this fourfold approach was helping in such a way. I'm like, we need to create a model around this. We saw great client success around it, but it all started with me knowing that my clients needed more than just massage therapy.
Wow. I really appreciate that. I think over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of talk about trauma, how it impacts the mind, the brain, but also how it impacts the body. And then when you mix in chronic pain, sleep issues, with insomnia, difficulty with anxiety, depression, you have these complexities where it's like, okay, how do we target all forms of the health in a way that is really efficient and concise? And so I'm wondering, let's say I am one of y'all's clients or patients. I come into the practice. Maybe we can go from person to person. How would you help me? If there's mental stuff going on, if there's physical stuff going on. Let's start with you, Lauren. Take us through the practice in terms of the individual, in terms of how they can work with each of these different clinicians and modalities.
One of the key things that Iris was clear on, we know that all of these medicines, independent of one another, are effective for holistic health and outcomes that are meaningful and long lasting. But imagine pairing them. So she said she wanted us to talk to one another. We know right now in medicine that doesn't often happen, even if you're in a very good, big, huge group like an advocate. Are you speaking to this practitioner that I'm leaving your office and going over here and I'm sitting with them? And so it's clear that when you come through our door, the intake process and all of those individuals that are involved in the intake understand our philosophy. We want to take a holistic approach. And so we're going to intake you and we're going to get those presenting problems, and then we're going to pair you. And when you're paired, those are many assessments that are provided by those practitioners within the scope of their practice. And then we come together to develop a treatment plan that is effective. We know now for a lot of folk, the two they really want to connect with is MJ and Cam. They want to get with MJ and they want Cam to give them that massage. But we want you to understand, well, why you really need it. What are some of those things that are suppressed? And so getting that buy-in during that intake process of saying, you can access all of these services, but we also need you to talk to us about just how you're feeling. You don't have to have a calamity, a catastrophe going on. But a lot of times there's an awareness. And when there's an awareness, then they understand why I'm not sleeping well, why I'm overeating, why I'm gaining weight, why I'm feeling lethargic and stiff. So that's my component. I'm going to pass the mic and let someone else speak on that.
I think one of the greatest things that we get to do is be authentic with our clients. And so they feel very safe with each of the practitioners that we have on staff. And so what I get to do on my end, once a client is paired with their different practitioners, I do like a 15 to 20-minute assessment call. And I always ask them, like, tell me your story. Like, why are you here? What sparked your interest in becoming a member of Chicago Integrated Health? And typically it's because we have personal trainers, which is also super awesome. But there, as Mama Lauren was saying, it's typically a deeper issue, getting back to themselves or discovering how they can just feel better all together, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And so the questions that we have in our assessments really opens up their minds to every component of who they are. As Mama Lauren was saying, like, why do you emotionally eat? What are your triggers? And so the information that I get, and I also ask them who they've been paired with, like from the mental health care standpoint. It gives me an opportunity to then send information to the mental health care provider as well as Cameron, so that she can understand, okay, the client is saying that they have pain here, right? So they are going to not only benefit from an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan with meeting with me on a bi-weekly basis and personal training, but now she knows specifically where their pain is and compare them with a massage therapist who has a specialized interest in helping them feel better, whether it be sciatica, hip flexor issues, rotator cuff issues. So I ask specific questions so that I can then give this information to the care team. And now the whole team is involved in making sure this one person knows they have an actual care team and a care plan to make sure that they're being healed well.
Yeah, so when they come to us in the massage therapy department, that's where they like to get to relax. So sometimes, depending on the session, people talk, but most of the time, they're relaxing. So what we do is either find out what kind of massage that they like. For example, we have relaxation massage, which is like the typical Swedish. Then we have like our manual lymphatic drainage massage, which is a modality that is typically a misnomer because of the post-op, but it's actually very relaxing, has a lot of health benefits as well. And so once we know what kind of modality they're looking for, we just pair them with the right therapist, massage therapist. And we also have the relief lab, which includes specific stretches, specific massages, specific corrective exercises from our fitness department that help them with certain conditions such as sciatica or hip flexor pain or rotator cuff issues.
We also assess for whole family need. So we do have Project Thrive for the children, and we also had Positive Impact, which is our education component. We wanted to really look at the entire family unit, the whole group. Can we serve in some way? Can we help in some way? And for Positive Impact, that's really, we have a classroom on site, but that is our educational component. Initially focused on men's health and still including that, but we found a lot of women knocking on the door saying, hey, I want to do something a little bit more than just talk therapy for my own needs. They wanted group. And that was another focus for Iris, who has worked at one time with a grief group up north, but thought we needed to bring more group work accessible to our community.
There was a question that I was thinking of, and thank you all for kind of explaining, taking the client through all these different services. For me, I've worked in medical centers, academic medical centers, and I've seen even in clinics where they say integrated care, even when I was a part of those clinics, I rarely was discussing things with the medical providers, the nurse practitioners, the medical assistants. It was almost like we were working alongside each other. But in terms of actually talking about patients and trying to collaborate and figure out a plan for each individual patient, it just seemed like there just wasn't enough time and everybody was really too busy for it. And so it seems like even from this practice that there is a sense of collaboration. There is a sense of everyone's kind of connected to each other. And I'm wondering, this question, I guess, is specifically for you, Iris, in regards to insurance, right? In regards to, for a client or a patient who's wanting all these different services, how does that work?
Yeah, so our clients, when they enroll into services with for behavior health, they have access to all the other services at no additional out of pocket. We made it very clear that we wanted to interrupt barriers. We wanted to eliminate them altogether. We don't accept copays and we waive co-insurance. So whatever the insurance picks up and pays, that's what we receive in payment. That's how our clients are able to see us regularly, because we've ran into issues where clients could not afford their $40 and $50 copayment. And so they might say, hey, we'll just see you maybe once or twice a month because the price of everything has gone up. And these are working class families. So we accept Medicaid and private insurance. We're about to accept Medicare. I also want to speak to what you were just talking about. We make it our mission to talk to one another when it comes to our clients' needs. We've saved actually a marriage. You know, they had individual therapists, and then those therapists came together and said that there are some issues going on. MJ said, "Yeah, there is some issues going on in his marriage." And they also were getting massage, and we brought in a big dog, which was my mother, and and we said, hey, they need marital counseling and you're the only one that can do it. We have like about 12 clinicians on staff, and we have interns as well. And she said, I'm going to give them 8 sessions together, and they both decided they didn't want to leave each other. But we understood that it was time to come together and share what we knew in an interdisciplinary meeting about this family. So when we create the intervention plan, which is what we call our lifestyle intervention plan, when we create these intervention plans, we do definitely create them individually and collectively, but we'll come together for a crisis with the in a disciplinary meeting. Like, okay, this family, actually, we need to save this whole family. Here's what we know, and we sharing it all. Sometimes, because we're going to start inviting them into those disciplinary meetings as well, so they can be a part of the conversation. And it's not when you're standing over your deathbed that this happens. We want to stand over stand with you while you're well before it gets worse. So, yeah, so certain cases, hit our desk that way. But it all starts with when I created this model. I wanted the clients, to have as much access to us as possible. And I knew the way to do that was to eliminate those financial barriers like a co-insurance and a copay. And for those that may not know what co-insurance is, you know, that whole, this is not a bill, you actually getting a bill. Because, we're saying that our rates are this much and the insurance only agrees to pay maybe 50 or 80%. You're responsible with the 50 or 20% that's left, but we don't send out a bill. So, yeah.
Wow. I really appreciate that education. And I think sometimes, especially in like major institutions, I just feel like whenever they run into barriers or problems, it's almost like the institution is so big that they don't solve the issue, or it takes forever to solve the issue, right? And so for you all, because there's sort of this interconnected practice, whenever issues do come up or barriers come up, you can sort of act quickly. And I'm wondering, and this question is kind of for anyone, but what other barriers or what other maybe difficulties have you seen with this model and trying to find solutions to really help patients?
Honestly, on my end, we really don't run into too many barriers, only because the way that we communicate. So it is our It is our passion, it is our desire to have such good communication internally that our clients never feel that there's an issue. And because we're so passionate and called to the work that we get to do, um, I think the only barrier that we might have right now is space because we have so many clients and we have continual enrollments on a weekly basis that our desire is to make sure that we're well staffed and have the right people in the right seats to accommodate the need. And I think that just speaks to our visionary, Iris, and what God has given her and Mama Lauren, is because the community needed this particular practice in Matson and really in underserved communities all over the world, in my opinion. And so we have such a great opportunity to make sure that our clients do not face any barriers because of the way that we communicate internally with continuous meetings, coaching, hiring the right staff, and being sure that we have qualified practitioners to help people. Because the last thing that you want is to have practitioners in your practice that are not equipped for the job. And so they're already coming to us with a mental or an emotional barrier. And our job is to make it as seamless and as smooth as possible.
Absolutely. We are very serious gatekeepers. This was a self funded project. When Iris and I got started, it was just she and I. And organically, spiritually, we are all faith based individuals. We love the Lord. We don't mind telling you, you don't have to, but we do. So we will profess that. And through that, we, got MJ and Cameran became, Cameran had her own business, MJ had her own business. And it's grown into this one. Iris had her own business, I had mine. So we're very, very, very selective in who we bring aboard. And we may have one or two people that decided on their own, I don't think this is the practice for me. And that's okay for us. We know that you're making room for the person that needs to be there. This community in Matson is one I served as a boots on the ground, out in the field therapist. That's where I got my start through an organization that served youth in care. And so I was very familiar that there wasn't a lot to offer. We were out there as therapists, but we didn't have a lot to offer. So let's find something that's unique and organic. And we have not done any advertising. It's been word of mouth. And we didn't want to grow too fast too soon because we really want to serve with excellence. And so our therapists go through, even after all their education and background and training, we right now have 3 therapists getting certifications in ADHD for adults because that's becoming more and more predominant. And, people are realizing, oh my goodness, when I was in 7th grade, I probably had this, and this is how it's impacting my life today. But again, we all practice within our scope, but we all stay very skilled and honed in and continue to educate ourselves because this community deserves excellence and the best.
My brain's kind of working right now in a sense of, for me going through graduate school, I was very nerdy into the analytics and the research and the outcome data. And I can hear the amazing work that you all are doing for your patients and the passion that goes into it. I'm also curious about how are you maybe directly or indirectly assessing for patient outcomes? Like what are, from the beginning stages to the end stages of when they go through the different clinicians, how are you assessing for some of that outcome data?
I love this question. On my end, so with nutrition coaching, I think people just like, oh, you're just going to tell me what to eat. This is also true. Yes, I am. However, I'm going to teach you how to eat. And so one of the first questions that I do ask in my initial assessment call, what are your goals, right? Most of our clients are on multiple medications. And so their desire is to really live a life where they're not consumed by number one, cost of medication, and replacing that cost and spending that on food, food and time like self care. So their goal, I get their initial goal, which is to get off of medication or to lose weight. And so every time that we have a meeting, I'm asking questions, right? So every 2 weeks, how was your meals this week? I didn't get a lot of pictures this week. They have to send me their food pictures, a food journal. And then when they're working with Coach Eric, who's my assistant fitness manager, we set benchmark and goals for them as well. It's not everyone's desire to be like a bodybuilder, right? That's not everyone's goal. The goal is to have less hip pain, less joint pain, right? And so we're not necessarily saying, okay, you're 210, you need to be 150. No, we're saying, can you get out of bed comfortably? How is your mobility this week? And so we're asking these intentional questions, albeit through their biweekly nutrition calls with me that are also virtual. Or when they go in to see Coach Eric, he's measuring and keeping notes and record of how well they're doing. We have clients who are no longer diabetic. We have clients who no longer have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. We have clients who've lost 30 or more pounds since working the full program. And so it's our way to tell other clients, like, this can be done, right? You also can do this. And so we have written testimonials from these clients because it's the real work. It's basically like writing prescription for them, but they have to take the medicine, which is eating the proper food, an anti-inflammatory diet, taking the suggested, prescribed. I say suggested because we can't make anyone do anything, but I also suggest heavily natural supplemental care, natural vitamins that can literally take away disease with a combination of healthy eating.
Well, I wanted to add to that as well. Clinically, mental health wise, when you see clients who were once needing to come in 2 to 3 times a week, there's a reduction in that, but there's a consistency with maintaining that those services with that therapist. In addition to that, there is the data from their own portals with Advocate Loyola, whomever they go to, where those numbers are improving. Their doctors are saying, "What are you doing differently?" Um, Also, self reports. A survey recently went out to the families of the youth we serve, and those reports that came back in saying, specifically, what have you noticed differently in your child and your youth, and what have children noticed? They've maintained, because it's hard to keep kids involved, but they've maintained their consistency in showing up on Saturdays. The parents are reporting high outcomes and sending people to us. Everything is word of mouth. If you find a good cheeseburger, you're telling everybody. And so we are the good cheeseburger.
People, we have people who come weekly, so they don't want to miss their massage appointment. So as far as measuring progress, a lot of times people do carry stress in certain areas, and they may carry that, depending on what goes on in that week. But sometimes we do find they're like, my shoulders aren't that tight today. Actually, you don't have to focus on that area. You could just do whatever today. And then with our stretch lab, with the relief lab and the stretches, that is a more instantaneous. That's something you can see that day. Like if you don't have like range of motion in your shoulder after we do the work stretch, whatever we do, you can see it like out of that time. Like, oh, I got my range of motion now. So that's kind of how we track a little bit with the massage therapy portion, because it's something that people actually look forward to and they repeat regardless. Like if they miss, it's like, oh no, it's something they don't want to miss. But the results over time, because also with massage therapy, people think, okay, I've had all this years of trauma or stuff to my body. I'm gonna get one session and it's fixed. And it's just like with anything, like with personal fitness training, you have to consistently do it to see the improvement. And that's the great thing about Chicago Integrated Health, breaking barriers. People can actually come and get those massage services. Like most massage therapists aren't taking insurance. So there is a price barrier sometimes with people to get weekly massages. And here they can actually get the treatment they need to see the progress in their bodies.
And we're also making an economic impact. And so we've had a couple of clients who were on state health insurance, they were on Medicaid, and they've come back and say, hey, I have a government job now. So here's my new insurance. And it was because their lives shifted. So we're making such a great impact all around, including, the economy.
And one of the things I was even thinking about is you're making such a great impact now. I'm curious about the future. Let's say 5 years from now, Iris, where do you see the practice in terms of the goals and the vision that you have?
We're gonna go national. So we're looking to first. So we have our first satellite center that's gonna be housed inside of a high school. They want Chicago Integrated Health on the fourth floor of their high school. So we're going to build out that space now. And then their grade schools that were connected to this high school, the principals have requested for us to come in house there. But we're looking to spread out and have satellite offices throughout the city of Chicago. And then the first state that we're going to cross over to is Indiana. The second state we're going to cross over to is Michigan. And then we're just going to spread out to Wisconsin and then so on and so forth. So I do see Integrated Health Chicago, LA, Integrated Health Chicago, New York City. Yeah, Arizona. Yes. Yes. So I'm gonna take this model as far as it can go.
It's one of those things where I've been really open about me being a psychologist, but I'm also a certified personal trainer. And it was really interesting when I went through graduate school. I was doing personal training on the side, and it was so interesting that even within the context of personal training, like when you talk about nutrition, when you talk about sleep, when you talk about fitness, you see the changes from anxiety, depression kind of lower over time. And so once you start combining elements of therapy, or even for you all, the nutrition, the massage therapy, all of these contextual things, this is something that's needed everywhere, right? And it's unfortunate that it's not common. But the fact that you now have the opportunity to kind of fill in those gaps from a healthcare perspective, I think is going to be really transformational for so many different people. So I had a question for specifically MJ. So when you work with your clients, like, I guess, what's your mindset in terms of helping them just overall holistically?
Oh, I love it. You have really good questions, Phil. Um, because of my own personal story of once upon a time being completely depressed and overweight, 91 pounds overweight from where I am now. Um, my mindset is going into it with I'm looking at myself and to heal myself, right? And so every story is different. There's 143 currently that we get to work with on our roster. And I see about 32 weekly. And with each client that I get to spend 20 to 30 minutes with, it's their personal time of healing. And it's more than just food. I feel like the way that God has allowed me to understand what food can actually do, as well as my education, is that I now have an opportunity to help each of our clients shift their mindset about food. Now, I love to eat. Okay, Mama mentioned burgers earlier, and I'm an advocate for a burger. And so when I have conversations with my clients, it's more so of helping them understand that life is meant to be enjoyed, but you can't enjoy life if you're sick. You can't enjoy it if you're worried about the cost of medication and it's adding more stress. And so I teach them about colorful plates. I teach them how to make the bland things yummy. I teach them the importance of certain foods that are actually healing foods, brain foods, educating them to where they understand that what they eat can really affect how their day goes, how they feel. And then movement, as we know that dopamine with working out and understanding the importance of weight training isn't to, be aesthetically pleasing. Sure, that's a benefit. But however, we're working towards when we age. And even if for our senior clients who are having some mobility issues, the more that they strength train, the more mobile they are. And so the mindset with myself and my staff, even with our new yoga instructor who starts today, so excited about that, is creating a healing space with each one of our clients. And so, no, we're not mental health care therapists, but we do have a mental health care aid certification that allows us to ask specific questions during our time with them. And so, their time is not just about personal training, it's not just about nutrition coaching, it's about who are you and what are you feeling today? And what can I personally do to help you succeed just for today? Because I think the issue that I found in my years of being a personal trainer, and I'm a retired bodybuilder, is people get so focused on what's ahead and they want a quick fix. And so our desire here at Chicago Integrated Health is to teach people that time actually does heal. And so we have to undo our thoughts really about, okay, well, I have my birthday in 2 weeks. I need to lose 30 pounds. Now, how are we going to do that when it took like 7 years to get here? And so, training, helping to assist with training our clients' mind with mental health care therapy, with personal training, nutrition coaching, and stretch therapy, and yoga, and massage therapy is literally recreating the chemical makeup of their brains. And it's amazing to see the transformation, and even seeing the countenance in some of our clients. They came to us looking one way, and every time they come back, they leave with a little bit more joy, a little bit more flexibility, a little bit slimmer. Shoulders are popping, and then we got some muscles growing, and they're excited about it. And so I created a community group chat. And so I will occasionally pop in and say, hey, what's your goal for today? Let it not be about your weight. What is one thing that you're going to do for yourself today that you are intending to do before the end of the day? And so by creating not only individual plans, but giving them an opportunity to be in a group setting, even though it's virtually, they know that they're not alone in their journey. And so this is the longest answer ever, but I'm on a roll. So,
But it ties into, I was going to say, it ties into Iris, your tagline, and a client that would just show up here because it was safe. Compassion is our philosophy. But Iris, why don't you speak about your tagline?
Oh yeah, finding your happy place in health. And one of our favorite clients, they all are favorites if they're watching. But but we have one that comes regularly cuz well, to describe the space has a meditation room with a waterfall. It has two massage rooms. It has our stretch lab section, relief lab section. It has a mental health therapy office. It has a classroom where we're going to be teaching an upcoming workshop, the Wealth Code, WELLTH, and then it has the gym. And our front desk staff, people just love those kids. They are all in their 20s. And our client would just come up and say, I don't have anything to do today. I'm just coming to hang out. And so, we had a client who stayed all day one time. She just, in a meditation room taking a nap. She had received all of her services and she just hung out. We ordered her some lunch, so it's a safe space. It's like a home away from home. Whatever they're escaping environmentally, we don't know, but we want to always be sure that we take care of them and make sure we let them know that they're important every time that they come, to the point where they don't want to even leave until we close. So I love it. It's a family. We have this family effect where our clients feel very connected with us.
Yeah. I love the concept of, setting realistic expectations, but making health fun and inviting, and, seeing it as not just this, thing that I do every other day, but like a lifestyle. And something that came to mind for me, and this question is actually specifically for you, Cameron. when you, because I think massage therapy, I mean, it's such a healing touch is so intimate. And I'm wondering for you, how do you see your patients from like a holistic perspective in terms of that healing touch?
Yes. So I always think about like the mind body connection. Like the book The Body Keeps the Score always comes to mind. So when it comes to massage therapy and the power of touch, we're releasing, we're moving energy, we're moving tension. It's not just like a spa day. This is actually healing work. So when I approach clients, that's my goal, is like to help them heal, not just relax, but release. And when we do these things, that's why it's always important to, I feel like, to have a heart for this, because there's been, I'm sure everyone probably had a massage where they just went through the motions. It has to be intentional, it has to be heartfelt, because that makes a difference. So when people get off my table and the table of the therapists that are at Chicago Integrated Health, they walk in one way and then there's like just completely relaxed. um, One of the modalities, manual lymphatic drainage, is very relaxing. It's my teacher called it a massage for your nervous system. We had one client who, she would get the regular massages. Then she went to that and was just like, she was like, I'm hooked. She was like, I never felt so relaxed before. Like, she was like, I don't know what it is about it. And other people I had those modalities, they talked about, I had this massage and I had the best sleep that I've had in a while. So massage, I tell people, it's not just fluff. It's healing, and when you actually have a practitioner with a heart from it and heart for it, it makes all the difference. I hope that answered the question.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, like you mentioned, there's not just a sense of relaxation, but release. Like whatever that release is, whether it's that stress, that baggage, the whatever they're carrying, that they can actually, the fact that you get to kind of see and feel that release, I think is amazing. And one of the things I was also thinking about, and this question is for you, Lauren, and over the years of your practice in terms of psychotherapy and mental health, how have you seen the stigma of mental health kind of change over time?
Well, certainly, I am the elder, I think, in the company. So it certainly changed. Whatever happened inside of Mama's house, who you talking to? You ain't talking to nobody about it. And even to go into this field, and always growing up in the church, we pray about it. And if it's something on you, it's a demon. Let's pray it out of you. But the work um, and thank you, Cameron, for bringing up the Body Keeps Score. I've seen it in the elders that I adore and love, who could have benefited from a lot of these services, but wouldn't dream of it, or it wasn't even in their imagination. Who can afford it? It must be something for some people who are so affluent. We don't do that. Let's just eat something. And so for each one of them are my practitioners. Cameron gave me a massage. MJ helped me sleep better. Iris actually saved my foot. I am diabetic, and my foot was turning black during the pandemic. And it was through her medicine and her getting me to eat a mushroom. Are you kidding? We don't eat fungus. And telling me why I should eat this mushroom and why I should eat these grains, and me going along with it, because what's the alternative? To be another statistic. So, and then for me doing the work with my therapist on what was going on for me, and then us deciding to marry this and take this out into our community, our home church, those folks, and certainly a lot of the people that, as I served Matson again in the field, to let them know we got something a little bit different. It's not just sitting about and talking about what's wrong, but it's building a community in a compassionate way, having people listen to you to understand what you need, helping you redevelop your life patterns. It's not working well for you. Let's try something different. And again, we haven't advertised. People are feeling better and they're telling the ones they love about it and bringing them back, making videos, posting it online, making us their Facebook page, just so many things. So I have absolutely seen the evolution of it. And a lot of our church members that we have worked with over the years are bringing their family members in. And some of my dearest friends who knew Iris in a stroller are here and enrolled.
When health is done the right way, I feel like it's just contagious, right? And when you can tell your family members about it, and when they also see the change, they see the difference in food habits or fitness lifestyle, it just, I think, is also inspiring for them. And so I love the fact that you all are contributing to that. There's so many things that I'd love to. I think we could talk about this all day long, but I want to be respectful of y'all's time. But maybe we could do a rapid fire. You all give so much to your patients and your clients. What do you give back to yourself? How do you take care of yourself? How do you fill yourself back up? And whoever would like to.
Well,
Quick for
I
me.
well Mama, you
Mine's
want to
is
go
sleep.
first?
Mine's is
Sleep,
sleep.
yeah.
I was working 6 days. MJ said, cut that out. I did. And I sleep. I'm in bed at 5. That's mine.
Yeah. Well, I would go. I want to highlight one thing as I talk about what I do for myself. One of the things, a part of the culture with Chicago Integrated Health is that it's imperative. We tell them to take care of themselves. They have paid time off. They don't have to put in a request and get it approved. We make sure that they have family time, and that it does not cut into their pay, but also we provide competitive wages so they can sleep at night and not have to worry about anything. So finding your happy place in health really starts with us first, because it's a people first culture. And because of that, with me, I have my own therapist that I talk to once a week, and a trusted friend group and community that I, chat with, and confide in. So that's how I take care of myself, but that's also how I help to take care of the staff members so they can continue to pour and not pour from an empty cup.
I have several things. I think my number one. So I'm very regimented, as and everyone on in our amazing family at CIH knows that I keep a very tight calendar. But the number one thing on my calendar is my time with the Lord in the morning. And so before I'm able, because Iris, as she knows, I have my own business as well. That aligns with what we do here at Chicago Integrated Health. But my hour before I leave my house of meditating and journaling and praying is it's not like I have to do, is I get to do that in the morning. It's how I keep myself well, because we're in the people business. And when you are in the people business, there's a lot of pouring out of yourself. And so if I am not spiritually equipped for the day, my clients could potentially feel that. And so the number one thing that I do in the morning, 3:45, it's me and God for an hour before I leave my home to go train people and have nutrition calls, and then working out for 2.5 hours myself, which is also, I mean, I'm a crazy person. I love my time in the gym, but that's how I give to myself. And everyone knows that I go to bed at 8 o'clock. So my phone goes on D&D as soon as I pull in my driveway. I protect my time, and that's how I take care of myself. My time is with my family and with my partner and with my children matter, and so it's a privilege to be a part of Chicago Integrated Health that understands that family is number one. So I want to say thank you publicly to Iris and to Mama Lauren for creating such a well balanced organization in which no time away from my family has ever existed.
Um, so for me, one of the things I've learned, because our wonderful leadership pours into us, we had a leadership intensive and had one-on-one with the coach about pouring into my cup. And so I've been making sure that I take time for myself, like my quiet mornings, my quiet times in the evening. I do things I've been interested in. I want to take a cooking class, I go take it. I go get my nails done, like stuff where it's not, I'm not always on or pouring out. I've learned to slow down. And so that's how I pour into myself now.
This is amazing. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today and for inviting me into your story and the trajectory of where this practice is going to go and the number of lives that you're going to continue to touch and change. I love highlighting these stories because I've seen in the healthcare so many things go wrong, of clinicians not talking to each other, of patients just going under the wire and not really being looked at or appreciated. And I think what a beautiful example that you all have set to really look at the body from a physical, mental, spiritual lens to where that holistic health is really being emphasized. And so, again, thank you each and every single one of you for being here and all of the skills and talents that you get to provide for your clients and also interconnected to one another, because I can tell that each and every single one of your skills is also like kind of bringing each other up too. And so I think that's really special to be here. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.